What is loneliness, and why has it seemed to be so taboo to talk about it? Aren't everybody lonely at some time? And is it possible to be lonely when others are around? Let's talk about it. I'm Thomas from Soul for Speech, and I'm glad you clicked on this video, joining me on my spiritual awakening journey. And today, we are talking about the phenomena of loneliness. And for those of you who knows me or live in Norway, you might have guessed that I would at some point eventually talk about loneliness. Because as you know, I have been in the paper 4 times, on the radio once, and on the podcast once talking about this topic. Why? Well, I'll tell you in a minute. But first, what is loneliness? When I searched up the definition, it read like this: sadness because one has no friends or company. Like, what? So, right off the bat, we know that to feel loneliness, you cannot have friends and you can't be in the company of others. Let's see. I've felt loneliness a lot. I have a lot of friends and I have been in the company of others plenty of times with a lot of people around and had this feeling. How come? Was it loneliness? Or is loneliness something else? Now, I'm sure I'm not the only one surprised by that definition. And what if I told you it was complete false? It was completely false. The feeling of loneliness comes from feeling alone. Now, there is a difference of being alone and feeling alone. Let me take you to an example I gave the paper. It was back in 2015, or maybe even further back. I was at a youth school political thing. And outside of the presentations and social activities, we had free time to roam and get to know people. Me being me, I always try to get to know people. And usually never stops with the first individual I see. However, for the longest time, I never actually felt like being here. So I did what I usually do when I feel being secluded. I went for myself to a window frame and I sat there looking silently out of the window at the rain, hoping that someone would find me and ask me to come with them. Over 20, 30 minutes went by and no one even asked a question to why I sat there. So I gave it up at that moment and went over to where people were. And they sat in a ring discussing youth politics. One guy there saw me sitting for myself outside of the ring and said, "Hey, you want to join in?" Sure, that would be nice. Finally, someone saw me. Alone. So I did it. I joined the circle. I did not have too much to say in the debate discussion, and that's okay, because no one really asked me either. They did not ask for my views, my thoughts, or anything. I was not even allowed trying, because I did. I know that it takes effort to be truly part of something, and nothing. Now, why on earth would I want to continue sitting in this ring if I feel just as lonely here as I was by myself? That's when I truly understand that it was totally possible to be alone with others, because being alone is not just being by yourself. No. It's a feeling of not being part of a group, a social norm, or feeling the discouragement that you do not belong, which is bullshit. You belong. And everybody knows that. And at the time, I fed into my insecurities. I fed into my depression and developed severe anxiety and stress. I had to be good enough. And I knew I were not good enough, right? I knew I were not good enough. And nothing would ever change, yada yada. It's the same old story. And I felt like shit. I felt life were shit, right? And as we know, life is gold. But gold is cold if you don't fill it with love, warmth, and purpose. That would luckily come later. When the article came out from NRK, I had friends who messaged me and could not understand how on earth I could be lonely. Because I always smiled. I always came over to them and talked. Included people, and it was just a big mystery to them. And that made me realize something very important. Because you know how they say those who seem the happiest might actually be the ones who are going through a lot of pain? This was the case here too. People looked at me and thought, aha, he does not need me, so I should focus my attention and energy at someone else. People thought I had everything well adapted and did not need them. Humans are a flock species, and we seek validation and acceptance. We want to be needed, and we help those who seem to need it the most. It's like when you break your arm, it's visible. We can see by the cast that there has been something painful. But with severe loneliness, depression, and all these invisible mental health issues, you can't see it. And that's the thing. But they are just as painful, if not even long lasting pain that is difficult to deal with. But they are very much important. No matter who you are, if you need help, seek help. It's not a taboo, it's not a sign of weakness, it's a strength, and your body and soul will thank you for it later. Some people believe that loneliness could be cured by placing another individual next to them and voila, cured. No. It's not that simple. If they don't want to talk to you or the connection is bad, all out for pity, why not just put a cat there instead, right? Maybe it would not talk to you back like a human could, but it would seem far more effective if it was just there to ignore you or cuddle you. A lot of people also keep saying that you have to do something about it, and ends the argument there. But most people in these sort of situations tend to go up and beyond to try, and find their place and belonging. Now, I, for example, have been part of a variety of groups and organizations. I have been part of a choir, a student corps, a quiz making group, working for the student bar, a filmmaking crew, a friend group, tons of youth political groups in my past. And for the year of 2019, I was active in 4 of those groups. So I do try, but even I can at times feel loneliness. How on Gaia did things even get better? Now, as I said, the phenomena with loneliness is not a situation, but a state of mind. It's a feeling you have, and as all feelings, it also needs to be worked on. And what I did was acknowledge the feeling and ask myself, what is it about this situation that makes me feel lonely? Am I truly lonely? Does it hold up? And what can I do about it to make me feel less lonely? I started to listen to my feelings and try to do the best I could to resolve that low energy feeling. I started to become confident in myself and okay with being lonely. It's not like I could not feel it afterwards, but then I would repeat those steps. It does not feel good to feel lonely. It's not great to know that yourself hurts with this. And that's why it's so important to work through it. Because I love myself and I want myself to feel good. So I did it for me, and it helped a lot when I had the internal reason for doing it too. Why do I think there is a lot of loneliness with students? As an example I shared with NRK Radio back then was when I first moved to Kristiansand, I was doing my utter best to not feel alone. I lived alone and I had no internet. And all my social activities was going to the university or calling friends or family on the phone. But when I did not do these things, I just had to wait until the next time I had class to meet people and not be lonely in that regard. And as a student, I believe a lot of other students have that feeling as well. And imagine someone who might not be as active to talk with others than I am. People who are introverted, shy, etc. They go to school, there are like 150 other students having their lecture, and when the time is up, they just go home. That's in fact the reality for some students. And I think it's so sad that's why I cheer on every group that wasn't trying to get people out, trying to connect each other in safe environments so that people get the chance to meet new faces and start their relationships, grow and bond. It's so important. Another crazy thing about loneliness, and this will be a time thing because of the pandemic we are facing right now as of the recording of this video, a lot of people are starting to feel lonely at this moment. The lack of interactivity as they once had before, the lack of human touch, the fear that is looming over society at this moment is like a prison. Some people are luckier than others. They are not alone. For those who have been suffering from depression, anxiety, and loneliness will feel it even worse because now they don't even get the chance to go outside and try to rekindle with society and their own life. Now they must be stuck. It's no longer an option, it's a prison. It's very easy for some to keep busy while others, struggles tremendously. And it's important to notice that they are not alone. We are not alone. But the feeling can still occur. And I think it's so important for us to just reach out, asking if people are okay. And when you get to see someone, then send them a smile. A smile can go such a long way. And hit in ways you would not even believe. Trust me, my life shines whenever someone sends me a smile along my way. You don't even have to say a single word. But if you want to do, and magnitude the magic of the smile, just say hi along with it. You won their day, guaranteed. Now, before I take you to the spiritual part of it and the end of the video, I want to share with you why I was in the news about loneliness and how I got there. It all started with this friend group that I told you about, and another group that was called Conversation Group for Men. Both very self-explanatory, and on a Monday, we were asked by the student priest, who was one of those who ran the second group, if any of the members would like to be part of an interview with then Norway's Minister of Children and Equality about our experience of the experimental group where men could speak out about difficult things in a safe environment. So I did, together with another guy. And later that Monday, I was going to the friend group, where we were going to make some food, and another journalist from the same paper was there to make a story about this as well. And the group organizer asked if anyone would want to be interviewed, and I said yes. So, when you see both pictures, I do have the same clothes on. It's super funny. These were both in the end of 2018 in the autumn. Now, during the spring of 2019, NRK was interested in doing a case on loneliness and wanted 3 people to share their story: a mother, a student, and another case, right? NRK had seen the friend group interview and asked the organization leader if she knew any of us that would be willing to share their story with their case, and she immediately called me. And I was very unsure about this. I did not know the full scale, but sure, I accepted. And short time later, I was called by a lady at NRK asking me a few questions to see if I fit. I guess it took about 4 to 5 minutes, and she said, "Yes, you are the one." And I was interviewed later that summer. The story reached 400,000 in less than 3 days, and I got a lot of messages on Facebook of people congratulating me for sharing my personal story and thanked me for helping them as well, which was the reason I agreed, because even if I have evolved from most of this, I can still share my experience to help others out there to know that they are not alone, and it worked. After it came out, as I said earlier, my friends were in shock to know that I felt this way. But they could not see it. I was sharing joy, and I included people because that's just who I am. I have been through these things. I have seen how it is, felt it. And most who have been there have a feeling that they do not want others to feel the same. Now about VG. It's simply the same. They saw the interview from the friend group and asked me for an interview on the start of 2020, keeping it relevant. Funny enough, the interviewer did not know that I was in a similar case half a year prior until I told her. Just a little behind the scenes there for you. Now, last thing before I let you go is to talk about some of the spiritual aspects of feeling lonely. One of the reasons why we have a difficult time feeling like we fit in is because of our vibrations. It's different from those around us. We are not on the same wavelength. This is normal, and a normal cause to why we tend to lose the friends we had as younger, as we simply just grow apart. We have the difficulty of determining the word home, because home is where your heart is. But does your heart know where it is? Is it hurt, healed, confused? It's a difficult process with spiritual awakening. However, as you grow, you raise your vibration. The connections you are meant to create will come. Also, you need to be alone. All those who venture on the spiritual path to awakening knows about the dark night of the soul, which in and of itself could get its own video. But we have to shatter the ego within. And to do so, some things need to die. And I know a lot of people are afraid of the word death. But by love and fear, don't feed into fear. Feed into love when it comes to death. Because as in tarot, death only means the end of a cycle. And we'll soon start a new and better one. It's like an old tree needs to die for its seeds to plant and become new trees. The caterpillar gives up its body, goes into the cocoon, and transforms into a beautiful butterfly. That's with you as well. The phoenix rising up from the ashes. When you learn to take care of yourself and start to feel okay being alone, you will evolve. And you will become like the beautiful butterfly. Because when you are alone, you begin to search for the answers within. And I'll leave you with this. Love comes from within, not from without. Thank you so much for watching this long video about loneliness. If you like the content, please hit the subscribe button. Press like to make the video more visible to others so that we can reach those who need to hear this message. Also, if you feel the call to share the video, that is awesome as well. And I would truly appreciate it. I am Thomas from Soul Speech, and you can find my poetry on Instagram by the same name. No matter where in Gaia you are blessed, you are loved, right? And stronger than you think. In love and light, peace.